Okay, so hi and hello and welcome, Dr. Kshipra Moghe. And thank you for giving us this time that you're going to be spending with us. We're very grateful to have you. So, just to start off, would you like to share a little bit about yourself? Thank you.
Hi, Shruti. I thank NIB for inviting me once again. It was a very nice experience last time when we did the Mental Health Awareness Month series of five videos. It was very nice for me, and I'm happy to collaborate with NIB once again. I work as an assistant professor of psychology at College of Engineering, Pune. I'm also the head of the Wellness Center Mitra there. Also, I am keenly interested in issues related to youth. Uh, I would like to call myself a mental health advocate. Um, I like to spend time with young people and with the youth because I truly believe that they have a lot of power and potential to take this country forward. And I try to do my little bit to just see that happen and our nation prosper. So that's about me.
Nice. Thank you, and very happy and honored to have you here. So, should we get started with today's conversation?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So the three key topics that we'll be covering today will be on gaslighting, and we'll talk a little bit about infidelity, and then we can sort of wrap it up with the telltale signs of a healthy relationship or a toxic one. So first of all, let's get started with gaslighting. If you can, could you sort of define gaslighting for us and maybe give us some examples and signs that one can look out for gaslighting?
So gaslighting is a term which has been around for a long time. It's not used very colloquially, but what it refers to has come from a movie which released long time ago, in 1944, titled as Gaslight. And I think this term became popular because it was very well defined, with the character, the lead character in the movie. So what gaslighting basically is that in a relationship, when one of the two people, there is a lot of emotional abuse happening, there's a lot of psychological abuse happening, the severity of which could be from mild to moderate to severe. uh, the person who is called as a gaslighter in the relationship, uh, you know does a lot of manipulation which is very persistent. There is a lot of brainwashing, and it is through his behaviors, it is through his or her, the way they talk, the way they see, the way they behave, the way they look, the way they emote, which makes the other person in the relationship in a very difficult situation where they feel a lot of self doubt. There's a lot of self questioning, lack of confidence, lack of self esteem. There is a lot of indecisiveness. There is a constant questioning that am I really good, am I really good, am I really good? And this has got nothing to do with their actual capabilities. It's entirely forced because of the manipulative actions or behaviors, or the comments that are given. It happens very subtly most of the times. So the person who is a victim most of the times doesn't even realize for a very long period of time that he has been a victim of the gaslighting, while the person who is a gaslighter does it very naturally, and so it doesn't appear that this is something happening very differently, or he's acting very strange off late. It's not like that, it's always like that. So in short, if we can say, gaslighting is a very toxic, or a very lot of toxicity in the relationship, which can, again, like I said, start from very mild phases to leading on to moderate, to even leading to a lot of psychological abuse, where then there can be self-harm also.
Right. So I suppose it's an intentional form of sort of backhanded compliments that are being
Yes,
given to
yes,
them,
yes.
just
Absolutely.
making them feel small every time.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
not something that just sort of happens once or twice in a light-hearted
Exactly. It doesn't happen once or twice. So
Mm.
it's not like, a passing remark by somebody. It's not like in a relationship when a couple fights. It's not a fight, because fighting is, even if it happens randomly, there is a topic of communication, conversation to it, that this is what we are fighting about.
Mhm.
Gaslighting can be about anything.
Right.
Rather, it is about everything. right?
Mm.
So it can happen in any relationship. It's not necessary that it will happen only in personal relationships. It can happen at workplace, it can happen with parental relationships, it can happen in friends also, but most commonly it is seen in personal relationships, especially when there are romantic relationships involved. That's where people need to be more careful. Why I'm saying this is because when it comes to workplace relationship, and if a person is let's say going through emotional abuse, there are still ways and means of dealing with it. There is a policy in place, there is an HR department in place, there is work to do. But when it comes to personal relationship, there is a lot that is riding on already in the relationship. And then when it is joined with gaslighting, it becomes very difficult for the victim to first identify, and secondly to deal with it. So they need to know what are the ways, or what are the basic things or signs to watch out for, to identify that, okay, this is what gaslighting is, and maybe this is happening with me in my relationship.
Yeah. And I suppose, in a romantic relationship, you've chosen to be with that person, whereas
Exactly.
work-based relationships and all, you don't necessarily have a choice. So here you need to
Absolutely.
be that extra bit careful and observe,
Exactly.
I suppose.
And also because there is this ownership, like you're saying, it's a choice. So there's this ownership that I chose this person, and he turns out to be a
Yeah.
person who is a gaslighter. So
Yeah.
should I accept it? Should I acknowledge it? Should I just say that no, this is not working out? Because it's not easy to say that my relationship is not working out. People try to put in 100% efforts. So there are signs and symptoms which clearly can tell a person that yes, I'm going through gaslighting, but they need to be conscious about it.
Okay, so building on from that,
There could be times when the person who is a gaslighter may or may not even realize it, or because it's so much so inbuilt in their way of talking or in their personality that they are like that. So there's always this excuse that main to
yeah,
aise hi
that's
hu,
how
I'm like this.
yeah.
And the person who is a victim also may not really accept it, because they don't know that whether this is the person that I actually want, because I've chosen this person. So is he like this, or is it me? And most of the times they end up feeling that, oh, it is me, I'm not putting in enough efforts.
Yeah.
So there are a few things which start. So there are, you can call it that these are the stages of gaslighting, or it starts from this initially and then it goes on increasing. So anyone who experiences any kind of toxicity in the relationship, or feels that I am to be blamed, like all those people who are listening to this video, if at all in your personal relationships you ever have this thought that I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough, mujhe aur karna chahiye, I have to put in a lot of efforts, go through these symptoms that I'm about to tell you and see that whether it matches with you. Even if one or two points match with you, try to rationalize it, try to see how strong it is in your relationship, or what is the intensity of that particular symptom in your relationship. And then you can probably identify that whether you really need to put in a lot of effort, or whether you need to talk to the other person and do something about it. Right. So when we talk about the symptoms, it always starts with lies, it always starts with a lot of exaggeration. So the person who is a gaslighter would lie very easily. Like for instance, infidelity that we are going to touch upon later. So a person cheats on his partner, and when she finds out, and when she says that, I know that you have been cheating on me, and why were you at this particular place with this particular person? So when there is a proof, there is proof also. Like it's not that she's just building castles in that.
Yeah.
So it's always met with that, you always do this, you don't trust me. So it's very subtle. So this girl probably would start feeling that maybe I don't really trust him.
Right. Yeah.
Because putting a blame on someone else and in a relationship, it's not very nice. And why should I be the person to do that? So there is a lot of self introspection then, that okay, so did I do something wrong, or was he wrong? So in this doubt, the gaslighter gets his way. Right. So the topic was whether he cheated or not, which was shifted to, you always mistrust me, and you don't believe me, and you always overreact. So the victim starts feeling that, oh yes, I know that I overreact.
Right.
So there is a shift, and it's so subtle that we don't even know that there was a shift. right? So it starts with these white lies. It starts with a lot of exaggeration about things. That is the first sign to look for. Then there are a lot of things which are continuously said. So this the manipulation or the brainwashing part, which happens in gaslighting, uh, happens through a lot of repetition, that the same thing over and over again is told. Like for example, when a mother or in even a relationship, a person says that I want these let's say cups, or mugs to be arranged in this particular way. Why can't you put it in the same way? So this is like a very normal scenario for a couple to fight about, right? Or putting a wet towel on the bed. It's like a very, very, very normal scenario. Okay, I'm talking about people who are living together. But even in people in relationships where people are dating, one person has the habit of coming late. Now, while this is a very common thing that, okay, fine, so she always comes late or he always comes late. But when it is, something like it's repeated, number one, and secondly, it's like, you're just always overreacting. I'm not very late. So either the person who becomes late when he's a gaslighter, or if I don't like people getting late, then I am not going to consider anything and I'm going to repeatedly point on how hurt I feel.
Right.
Okay, so I feel extremely bad when you do this to me. So instead of saying that, I would prefer if you don't do this, and then maybe probably just, okay, fine, you do this, and when you make some compromises, I make some compromises, it's fine. In place of that, it's like I get hurt. So it's like, the person becomes accountable that, oh my God, I'm making him hurt. Right?
So they sort of take on a victim role.
Yeah, exactly. They take the, oh, poor me. And yeah, whenever something like this happens. So there is a constant repetition about the same thing over and over again. Right? That is another sign. Then whenever a person challenges the gaslighter, like for example, you catch the lie of a person that he was late today, and you know that he was actually sitting with his friends and, probably playing some video game, and, he just bluffed. So whenever they are challenged with proof, okay, it's not that there's no proof, but if there is a proof, they will become more attacking. Okay, so it's not that, in normal circumstances, if let's say I catch somebody telling a lie, then the simple thing would be that, I got him busted, right? And then he would be like, okay, fine, I'm sorry, and I shouldn't have done that. But the other person, in this situation, the gaslighter would go on attacking, so much so to prove his point that I'm not at fault, you are at fault. Why are you giving me all these proofs? These proofs are not required. Don't you trust me? Okay, and what if something like this happens? You always do this. What is wrong with you? How can you think something like that about me?
That same narrative comes back.
Yeah, the entire topic of conversation or the entire problem is shifted from the gaslighter to the victim, and the victim doesn't even realize this, right? So that is another thing. Also, a very important aspect about gaslighting is that the victim starts getting, worn out after a period of time. It's very exhausting. It's very draining. So it's not just a lot of emotional drainage, but there is a lot of physical drainage to it too. So, other than the other life stresses that are there, this is something which directly attacks the emotional aspect of the person. And that's why there's a lot of wearing down. So they start feeling that, oh, I can't handle this relationship. What can I do? And it's difficult for them to even reach out to their parents or their friends, because you can't even handle your own relationship. What is wrong with you? Right? So because there is so much amount of accountability put on the victim that they can't even say that I'm not able to handle this. So they keep telling that, no, I will be able to handle this. I will be able to handle this. Right? So that is another thing.
Yeah.
Then another sign is that there is codependency in a gaslighting relationship. What is codependency is, it's different from interdependence. So while interdependence is that, two people are together in a relationship, codependence is when, let's say, for example, whenever the person starts saying that, okay, I don't want to be in this relationship, so they will play the victim card, like you said, so they'll get anxious and they'll be like, oh my God, what will happen if you leave me? This is how I am. How can you do this to me? So again, the shift is on the person. And then, and this again is related to the next point, which is giving false hope. Like, for example, that, I can't really survive without you. And, okay, I'll try and I'm going to, work on this. But that promise is not a promise, because it's very superficial.
Mm.
But because there is still that 1% of hope that is shown, the victim remains the victim, right?
Right.
And lastly, when it becomes pathological, for example, if gaslighting becomes pathological in a person, so that movie that I'm talking about was basically pathological gaslighting,
Mm-hmm.
in which a person has a tendency to do that, right? So irrespective of the relationship, he will always be like that. And if a person happens to be in a relationship with a gaslighter like that, who is pathological, then there is excessive amount of dominance and control over the other person, so much so that they cannot even decide to, take simple decisions in everyday life, like what is to be cooked today. So today I'm going to make this, whatever, this is going to be our meal for today. So why do you always make this? You know that I don't like it. Why don't you make this? And so on and so forth. So okay, I can't even decide that I have to cook a meal, and I can't even figure out what I have to cook for today. Right? So there can be excessive amount of dominance and control, starting with these small little things of everyday decisions to bigger decisions, like I want to go, I want to take up this promotion in my job, or I want to take up a new job, or I want to go talk to my mom. Why do you need to go and talk to your mom? Something very related to, there was a movie, um, it was not exactly gaslighting relationship, but on the similar lines, there was a lot of other type of abuse and a lot of pathological issues there as well. But I think Living with the Enemy, uh, something like that, there was this movie. So it was also based, in which I think Julia Roberts was there. I don't remember the actor, but something related to that. And it's very scary for the victim, because by the time they realize that I'm a victim, it's too late. Okay, because they are ripped of their self-confidence, they are ripped of their own ability to think and decide and take a call. So it's very difficult for them to leave this relationship. That's why earlier the better. So earlier recognition of the signs is always better. So that's about gaslighting. And then of course then this leads to infidelity, which is your next question.